Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to RSF1's podcast. We are here for week number 4. We are looking back at the races of China in the last week of racing in RSF1, and I think this week was quite interesting. China, I kind of labelled as a track that will produce some good league racing, and it definitely did. Various stories of the championships are taking place, and we are here to recap them. We are also here to advertise something quite different, but also quite huge going on tomorrow. More details of that when we get to it in a few minutes. And we will also, once we have recapped the races, which will be a slightly different, they're not as in-depth as before, but obviously we're trying to cut things down. Trying to make it not as long-winded as we had before, but hopefully that goes down well. But by the end of it, we will have our race of the week, which will be a new segment added to this. So hopefully you are here to enjoy that. I'm RF1S Michael. I still get confused about how I do it. Also known as Bundle. And I'm joined by with Mr. Hippo. You missed last week, Hippo, but you're back. So welcome back.
Yes, I am back.
And let me just go to tier 5 of my notes. Didn't score this week.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That sounded a bit too harsh.
Ended it. It's all over.
Were you looking forward to the races at China, which was just a little bit unlucky? If I remember rightly, your pace kind of... What's the word? Trying to think of a proper word.
Absence.
Or yeah. When no, it's like the first few weeks, like you were easily into Q3, and then but for this week, for some reason, you weren't. So
Yeah, I wasn't looking forward to it.
okay. Of course, I didn't race myself, so but I'll be back on the grid next week, or hopefully in the F1 division on Wednesday. So yeah, that should be interesting.
Give me a chance.
Give me a chance, boys. Come on. Yeah. So things going forward with that. So let's kind of let's see what's going on this week. You've watched quite a few of the races, Hippo. Of course, I watched all of them. What would you say in general this week? I mean, I think they were very good races, to be honest.
I think there was a lot of action, a lot happened that people will be, some really pleased with, some will be annoyed about, but very busy week overall, I think. Lots occurred in each of the races. I don't think there was anything particularly boring.
Yeah. What I noticed in the results as well, because obviously we're now getting into the phase, obviously we're still a long way to go. Still tons of racing yet to go, including a few like notable Grand Prix like Monaco we still got to do, Singapore, and among others, obviously got Spa coming up in a month or so. Yep, Russia as well. But I noticed the results, quite a lot of people's campaigns kind of started. Like few that were, hadn't scored any points previous to this week have actually started. Got good results here. So a few tiers, Hippo, are still yet to have like their pace setters kind of settling in.
Yeah. I think this last race at China, I think it's a very different sort of track to those at Hanoi, Vietnam and Bahrain, as well as not saying too much. I think the next couple of tracks are different to what we've had so far this season, so could bring more people into the mix.
And what this also did bring was our first wet race. We actually had our first wet race this season. Obviously, we'll get to that in a bit, because that definitely shook up a few things. Definitely more where that came from, to be honest, because it was very exciting. Tomorrow. Right, we need to talk about tomorrow, Hippo. So we mentioned couple of weeks ago, I think it was, that a long-time member of RSF1, RSF1 Shrimper, fortunately was diagnosed with cancer. For those who don't know, I mean, everyone I think knows at this point. Obviously, whether you know the guy or not, it's a difficult thing to go through. But as I've learned with RSF1, is we have a big community. Whenever someone is going through something, even a positive thing, even like a birthday or something like that, we all band together and be for the person, and this is no exception. But in light of that, tomorrow is what I think is a great idea, and it's just fantastic, Hippo, isn't it? Obviously, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's just good to see everyone come together to try and help someone out like what we're doing.
So tomorrow is a 12-hour gaming stream. So starting from 12 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow, going off course till 12 midnight, RSF1 will be streaming multiple different games, and also obviously as the entertainment, but obviously the incentive is that we also will have a donation page or system where you can donate money to help with the charity. Of course, you can donate however much or however little you want. Anything will be obviously a massive praise to the person that did donate. So anything you want, even if it's £1 or something little like that, every little will help, and I'm sure Shrimper will be very appreciative as well as the charity that we're going to go for it. So just to go through the schedule, because it is a very different schedule. There's some things that we're streaming that is basically for everyone, to be honest. There is going to be something there for at least one of your viewers out there. So starting from 12 o'clock will be a private Warzone match. All these lasting for a couple of hours, but they will only finish once the game finishes, obviously. Then running from 2 till 3 PM, Camo and RSF1 Shane are doing a ranked Rocket League session where I believe, if I'm correct in saying Sync Diggles, that people know about, who's donating, I can't remember the exact amount, but every goal that they score, he's donating money for that one. And you score a lot of goals in Rocket League, for those that don't know that, so that could be quite interesting. That's going to last an hour. After that, a little bit more Rocket League, but it'll be a party play, so there'll be more people joining. Have a few games of that one. 4 till 5 PM is Golf with Friends. Just a interesting golf game that will be fun to watch. 5 till 6 PM is a game called Gang Beasts. Now, have you heard of Gang Beasts before, Hippo?
I have. I haven't got it, but I've heard and seen bits of it.
Oh, goodness me. Put it this way. Friendships will be tested in that game. Let's put it that way. It's definite fun to watch, so make sure you join us for that one as well. I mean, join us for all of them. Well, they all sound good. 6 till 7:30 is Call of Duty Party Play. So again, back to Call of Duty stuff. There'll be different games and different modes on that one. 8 till 10 PM is, well, we're known for F1, so we've got to include an F1 race in there. It is 100% Bahrain short with guest streamers. And so definite interesting one, as well as potentially a few guest drivers as well, so that should be a fun one. And then from 10 PM until the end of the stream, we'll be playing GTA, Grand Theft Auto, and other games in party play as well. Also, friendships, again, will be tested in that one. All amazing, Hippo. I don't know whether you'll be getting involved with any of those games there, but it's just fantastic, isn't it? I mean, I've taken part in a race of 12 hours. 12 hours of anything is draining. Obviously, it's not the same person streaming, but even so, to keep it up for 12 hours and for a great cause, what more can I say?
Yeah, I think that's everything. It's just hopefully anything, everyone can help out however they can to help Shrimper and his family and everyone get through this.
Of course, you don't have to donate. We're not obviously pushing everybody to donate, but obviously it will be very, very grateful if you do. But just join for the support. That's all. That's for free. Just join for the support. And of course, our thoughts are with Shrimper at this time. We all are. So yeah, make sure you join us tomorrow from 12 p.m. Join us when you can, or anything. Watch the entertainment or take part in it. So yeah, should be good. Right, shall we get on with the recap of races? We are going to begin with the F2 division. Where are my notes for F2? There we go.
This is what you
Of course.
would have normally been involved in.
Yes. I did kind of miss it, to be honest. They had a good race as well. About it. Do you want to take F2 or should I take F2?
Well, why not together?
Or together? Yes, together. Yes. Monster Skyline, by the way, is unavailable tonight, but I'm sure he'll be back next week. So all good stuff. Yeah. So F2 got underway. As I said, this is going to be a little bit thinned down than previous weeks, but rather than obviously lap by lap, it's just going to be highlights, things that kind of me and Hippo and Monster Skyline, obviously when he's back next week, going on forwards. Highlights picked out, overtakes, safety cars, that kind of thing, or just general kind of look at the races, to be honest. And first thing I'd like to point out actually is the person on pole, Hippo, Dangerous Dan, got his first pole of the season in that Mercedes.
Yeah.
And obviously Muddy Biscuit has kind of taken tier 2 almost by the scruff of the neck, because he's had some really good results, some 2 wins, a couple of podiums as well. But others in there, Dan included, Lukey, a BF1 racer who we know is quick, used to be in the F1 division last season. He's starting to find his feet. There's still a lot of drivers in F2, Hippo, that can challenge Muddy Biscuit.
Yeah, I think he's shown his consistency throughout last and this season so far. So I think he is a very strong driver, as we've seen so far, but not unbeatable.
Yes.
People can beat him. I think throughout the season he will be beaten, whether that's consistently enough to take the title from him, I don't know. He's a very good driver. Mentored me quite a bit last season, helped me out as a Haas driver, but he's obviously going to do what he can to win.
So you kind of want him to do well as well?
Yeah. I don't want anyone to do badly, but...
No.
I mean, nah, I don't want to.
Really? Are you sure?
Not on the
Sure, sounds like you have a rivalry somewhere.
I maybe.
The other person I actually pointed out from qualifying to begin with was the other Dan, which is going to make things confusing going forward, and that's VRC Dan, obviously promoted from F3. I'm going to say straight up, I think it is the right decision to promote VRC Dan. Well, the results said it all in F3. The first few weeks, 3 wins, 3 out of 4 poles as well. But he relished the challenge, Hippo, and that's the thing we don't normally see, or don't normally hear. Is like people, when they go to the higher tier, they want to be challenged. But VRC Dan took it, and he actually got a front row start in his first race in F2.
Yeah.
Which says everything, doesn't it?
Obviously brought it on, took it as a made him want to drive faster, and he's obviously either really likes China or really put the hours in, or both, and it's shown off.
Yeah, obviously, unfortunately, his race didn't pan out as I guess he would have liked, but yeah, he's definitely going to be one to watch going from next week onwards, isn't he?
Yeah, I think. Didn't Dangerous Dan get promoted to start of this season as he won F3? So
yes.
So both Dans moving up and just showing their pace, especially around this track.
Yep. very clean. Lap 1, only a couple of people with damage. Sturridge unfortunately got a drive through at the beginning, I think from a jump start. I think the only person that actually got damage was Rippin' One Shot, which was obviously unfortunate for him. But two big movers, I don't know if you picked these out, Hippo. Gruntastrophe obviously, up from 16th to 12th, and Stygian up from 19th to 14th. And when I watched back F2, because obviously I was busy Sunday night, I was kind of surprised Stygian to be down in 19th, Hippo. Because he normally qualifies very well, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think...
It's one of those things.
I'm not sure if it was his favourite track. I know.
No.
I know whatever's happened, he'll want to work on it. Next week is something that he'll be working towards, especially as he is a...
Oh yeah, because he's from Netherlands, isn't he? So yeah, so he's looking for technically his home race.
His and his brother's home race, so they'll both be fighting for their flag.
His brother is double, isn't it?
Yeah, doubles.
I always forget.
Yeah. It's doubles.
But yeah, good.
He enjoys it.
Yeah, good start from Grunty and Stygian. And as the race went on, obviously I point out with Grunty because unfortunately Stygian, where did Stygian finish? Stygian, no, he wasn't in the points. Yeah, so Stygian's race didn't go up from obviously his great start. But Grunty though, former teammate of mine, obviously from last season in F2, he's had a troubled start. It's safe to say, I think. I mean, obviously looking at his results, he had no points in Vietnam or Bahrain. But this one, from 16th to 3rd, is really great. But he just made the strategy work, isn't it? Fresh tyres, kept himself out of trouble at turn 1. Just shows, even in a position where qualifying didn't work out for Grunt, he's still one of many drivers in F2, actually, that can still pick out a good result.
Yeah, it just shows... qualifying's important, however, it doesn't bring you the points. So you can qualify and
it's what you do in the race.
Yeah, if you don't have any racecraft, then you're going to struggle throughout the course of these.
Highlight from F2 during the race, I caught out a three-way battle between JS Lee, Sparks and Stygian. They battled for several corners throughout. There was definitely some great battling throughout the field, as you kind of expect, really, isn't it? If all the tiers, to pretty much.
Yeah, everyone wants to show what they can do, however way that is. So to get a nice overtake, to show you can battle cleanly, make a move, it's always going to give you confidence and good publicity.
Yep. Obviously I mentioned that Grunty and Stygian had good starts. Gruntastrophe pretty much, the way to his podium was pretty much decided because he kind of perfected his strategy, stayed out of trouble, got into the mix with the leaders, and when he pitted, it obviously didn't have too much to gain on obviously his quicker tyres compared to everyone else. BF1 race obviously pretty much did the same, kind of hung with him. Lukey though, in the Racing Point, which is funny enough, I'm in the Racing Point in the background, started on hard tyres, which is always going to be a gamble, Hippo.
You
did it, if I remember rightly.
I did initially.
Really?
Yes.
And then yeah, because we had a restart, and then you changed your mind.
Oh no, I still did it. Okay, I did do it, but
Oh.
I was doubting myself a lot.
Because it's difficult, isn't it? But it's the way this game and I guess these races work out. If you can get the hard tyres to work, stay out of trouble, and don't lose too much time, when you then go on to the soft tyres, is what Lukey did, you're almost unstoppable compared to everyone else around you.
He made progress very quickly when he swapped onto those softs. And he managed to get past Strimper, who was his team quickly.
Yeah, very near to podium in the end, but didn't score any points for some reason. I think penalties dropped him down or something like that.
Yeah. Did you
Not in my top 10. Yeah, I can't remember why he dropped down, but there you go. But yeah, he made some good progress. I think he started like 18th, I think, in qualifying as well. So I think that was also there. The top 10, I noticed, were separated by 8 seconds with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, it's very close.
Which is great stuff.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, penalties, which obviously you can get a few round here, especially last corner. Penalties for Hudson and Josh cost them podiums because they were up there towards the end. Hudson in the Red Bull, was my former teammate from this season, was looking very good. I think actually, he still ended up 4th place in the end, Hippo. I think in terms of results, it's his best result so far. But in terms of races that he's been in and we've watched, that's the best race he's done so far.
I think it takes time for you to prove himself, and it doesn't always happen straight away. But I think he's showing he's capable of, and making people know that he's there. Make sure he gets the respect he deserves on track as well. Not that he's just a pushover.
Eventual results at the end of the F2 race was a very good race. I think it was. Anything else that you pointed out from there before we move on?
Not particularly. Just one thing I noticed was during the pit stop, Dangerous Dan was very risky. He went an extra couple of laps to Josh S04. He was pretty much with him. However, Josh, I believe, got swallowed up by both Red Bulls in one straight and lost his 2-car buffer to Dangerous Dan after the pits.
Yeah.
And then from there, with the fresher tyres, Dan was all over him.
Seemed to be the story of the whole week, wasn't it? And that was what I noticed. Another trend is when the leaders pitted, they seemed to come out in traffic, and that seemed almost defined a few of the races. If you could pick your way through the cars that haven't stopped, those that were going long from their first stint, if you could pick them off methodically and quickly enough compared to your rivals or those that are pressuring you, then it's a good advantage to have, and quite a few did that this week, didn't they?
Yeah, it just shows that you can have the paces again, but luck is also part of this, and it's not what you really want all the time, because it can ruin someone that's done loads of work on a race, but it shows that you can't just be quick and guaranteed results. What you do with that pace does matter.
Yeah. So eventual results at the end of the Chinese Grand Prix for F2. Dangerous Dan in the Mercedes picked up the win, his first win of the season, obviously backing up his 2nd place from Vietnam last week, so he's definitely finding his groove in F2, definitely settled in nicely. Muddy Biscuit, though, I believe retains the championship lead because he is not been off the podium. He's had 2 wins, a 3rd and a 2nd so far, Muddy Biscuit. Definitely showed a few people's, including myself, prediction that he's going to be up there towards the end of the season. 3rd place, though, for Grunty, his first podium of the season, and I'm sure there will be more down the line. 4th place for Hudson in the Red Bull, his best results so far, with 5th ending up being BF1 Racer, also his best result so far. It's been a lot this week, actually, you will notice. Josh S04, who I believe is now a full-time driver in the house, got his 6 points. Added to the points I think he's already got, so I believe they'll be added to his totals. But 6th place for him, his first full-time seat. Breezy in the Renault for 7th. And then 8th place was reserve driver, because not on my table results.
8th place. For me it says Lukey. That might be wrong. I'm not too sure.
I think it's a mess.
I
think it's a little glitch of the results.
Reserved.
Yes, Shrimper, that's what it was. Because obviously Shrimper doing his racing first back. So, so he had a good stuff in there. 9th.
9th. Was that my lap?
I got 10th for him.
I'm not too sure.
I got 10th for him. But yeah, good stuff from F2. Yeah, just in general, a very good race. They're proving their own case that they are entertaining the division, aren't they? And still, it's going to be the question of when is Muddy Biscuit's consistency going to run out?
If Muddy Biscuit's consistency runs out.
If. Can you imagine? Right? I know. Obviously, league racing can very easily go from positive to negative, like in a heartbeat. But can you imagine if he was on the podium every race this season?
Could be reality.
It would be a great feat. It would be a great feat if he does that. But
if he does have fun, here he comes.
But no, he's doing the job well. And this is the thing with Muddy. I don't think he's had a single pole position. And I think even the couple of races he's been outside the top 10. I think it's just he's got good race pace and just
yeah. I remember
very wise.
Watching Stygian's video. Muddy started P12, I think, in Stygian 14.
Yeah, just picked his way through. Just knows how to do a race.
It's useful to know how to race.
Yes.
Especially in the racing league.
Of course. Right, so moving on to F3. There we go. Now F3, oh, this was interesting. Did you watch this one?
I'm not live, no. I wish I did.
You did watch it back though, did you? Cool. Obviously we're going to debate our race of the week, but this is a strong contender in my book. Because, and to be honest, we've got to thank the rain, don't we? Because this was our first wet race of the season in RSF1, I believe. Yeah, definitely the first one. But what made it confusing is that everybody started on dry tyres. So it was very confusing, wasn't it?
Yeah, from those that I spoke to, it seems the computer and the drivers didn't know what was quicker. The conditions were very borderline. Dries being as quick, if not quicker, than inters, and it kept going back and forth on the ideal tyre.
Yeah, we also had a wet qualifying. I started off initially dry in Q1, intermediates Q2, but it was full wets by Q3, and it was the two Red Bulls, Eyes the Best in the lead up to this week, Hippo, was, from others were reporting, he's saying he was very quick. But the wet weather just added to it, didn't he? Because he just seemed to be on another level.
Yeah, the wet weather, it can be very different, but if you're good around the track and you really like it, it doesn't really matter the conditions. It's the practice, the memory that comes into play, and if you've done enough around each track, the conditions don't really affect you.
No. But yeah, great start for the Red Bull drivers. Unfortunately though, when the race started, which as I said, everyone was on dry tyres on a wet track for the initial first stint. Sainz had a great start, helped by a confusing lag car, I think of Maniacs, which soared off into the lead and then just dropped back a bit, so that was quite confusing. But Sainz got the lead and kind of took advantage of that, which left Eyes the Best kind of fighting with Peachy Pig, if I remember, for second place, and I think someone else was with him as well. But yeah, Sainz led away and had like a 4 or 5 second gap in the early going, and really that initial first in Hippo, that was based purely on not raw pace, just who coped with that confusing condition the best.
Yeah, it was almost a battle of attrition. I mean, not completely, but it's one of those, if you keep the car on the track, you're going to be quick. It's if you can keep it in the right direction,
best consistency, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, Science coped with this initially very well. Unfortunately, though, we had a connection of drivers between Peachy Pig and I's the Best. Very unfortunate. It was that long right-hander before the back straight, and they just appeared on the grass. Both, I don't think, recovered. No, they both didn't score any points of this. I don't think there was anything malicious there. Hippo, what I gather, is just difficult corner, obviously difficult, very tricky conditions, which I think as a whole, I think F3, the racing, apart from that bit there, was in general very impressive considering what they were chucked with.
Yeah.
You know, dry tyres on a wet track.
I mean, I've done practice of wet tyres and dry track, not the other way around, and I wouldn't dare to.
It's weird because again your head thinks this is surely wet enough for intermediates and your car's sliding all over the place, but it's not. And then you go to intermediates and they don't have the pace at all. So you have to stick it out on the dries, and the battle in that was very impressive. And I said, apart from that moment there between I's and Peachy Pig, it was quite good in general.
Yeah, it's awkward in those conditions because you want to be quick, but a mistake will lose you more time than a couple of slow laps.
Yeah. Obviously, as the race went on, though, obviously they had completely free choice, didn't they, on what dry tyres, whether it's softs, mediums, hards, for a couple of cases as well. But as the race went on, Hippo, obviously the rain. The weirdest thing about the rain is that the DRS was still active, so they couldn't decide which is quicker. Because normally you know this, Hippo, and obviously everyone watching and listening on this know that the biggest indication from dry to wet or wet to dry is DRS activation, or vice versa.
When it's enabled for the wets, when it's disabled for the dries.
Yeah, that's the biggest indication. You know, and you still have Jeff telling you what tyres to go on, but he can be wrong. So, but with this case, the DRS was active until lap 16, halfway throughout the race, already gone halfway. So it was incredibly difficult to read.
Yeah. Game can throw you off.
Yeah. But as the race went on, of course, those that were on the harder tyres, in particular, Camo and Stretch, who started on the mediums, they had managed to keep their tyres well, and managed to keep with the leaders, most of which were on softs, so brought them into the race. Again, simple strat, isn't it? Is if you start on softs, well, even if it's a normal dry race, you've got to get the gap of those on the hard tyres.
Yeah.
But if you can make the harder tyres work and be consistency and keep your pace up, you can have a great advantage.
Yeah, the mediums obviously will take longer to warm up, slippier. But then I suppose, depending on the severity of the rain, the strategy's a lot more flexible. So going on the softs was very presumptuous that it would chuck it down straight away.
Science. I've got to feel sorry for Science because it was so difficult to read. You kind of had to, in some cases, I reckon drivers were relying on their engineers or their teammates.
Test it.
And yeah, to test it. So it got to like 14, 15. At this point, obviously, I's the Best was trying to recover from his earlier get-together with Peachy Pig. And he had, I think at this point, everybody gone on to intermediates to try them out, or most of them. But then some had gone back to dries, and this included I's the Best. Obviously, he was outside the top 10, and he had nothing to lose, so he went for it. And I believe, unless Science, who I know is in the chat, is going to correct me, I believe he must have been in communication with I's. I's must have said, the dries are good, put them on. Because he went from a relatively comfortable lead, because Quaker Oats was behind him but had a penalty, and then there was 13 seconds back to third. must have been an indication saying that the dries were good, and that's when Sainz went on them. But unfortunately, literally a lap or two after he went on to dries, the DRS was disabled, the rain had increased, and it was intermediates once again. For definite. So, extremely unlucky, and nothing much you can do really in that situation.
Yeah, it's a hard one to manage, especially when it's on the edge of that.
I just said in the chat, I was talking to him and he said they were totally fine and my inters were running out of grip. Yeah, so... yeah, however, the rain got worse and it cost me. That's just... as I said, one lap or lap and a half later than that decision was made and it would have been fine. It's one of those things. So many people could have done it. I don't think you can... I think you agree with me here, but you can't really blame yourself with that. That's just wrong timing, isn't it?
Yeah, you'll obviously be frustrated that you know where you would have been, or you could have easily been. But you make decisions, and in hindsight, I've done lots of things differently this season. But
so would I.
Yeah.
But that is, you live and learn. You live and learn. You learn from your mistakes, and your mistakes make you a better person. Although again, I don't think this was a genuine mistake. It was just
unfortunate.
It's one of those. Yes, one of those things. It did cost the podium. It did cost the win for Sainz, but he still got a solid result out of it. Obviously, gave. I wouldn't say gave. I mean, Quaker still had to be there, but Quaker Oates, who again, he's had a troubled season so far, an 8th and 2 non-point finishes until this race this week. But he was similar to Eyes the Best, similar to have an added level to his game when the rain came out, and was just on it all evening, wasn't he?
Yeah, he just kept it in the right position where it needed to be, and just kept it consistent.
So he picked up the win rather comfortably. What wasn't comfortable, if you saw this, Hippo, please tell me you have, is the finish between Falcon, Stretch and Camo on the last corner.
I think I have seen.
Yes. So a lap before the hairpin, obviously this was Stretch trying to fast Falcon. This was all for the battle for second. And Stretch made for a go on the penultimate lap at the hairpin, and Falcon kinda you shall not pass kind of thing on the outside. Obviously defending his position perfectly fine, but he was like, I'm not going to give you a Christmas card basically on the exit. So Stretch was like, okay, I'm going to have to try a bit more bolder the next lap. Unfortunately, while all this was happening, Camo was just very quietly stalking the pair of them.
Just like, boo.
Yeah, and obviously Stretch went for the move once again. I mean, Quaker, again, apologies for Quaker in that race, because I was streaming and I couldn't keep off of the battle for second because of how close it was. And I had to sort of, because I normally go to the winner and watch him cross the line, and oh, he's won the race, and I couldn't because all that. So Stretch had to go again at this hairpin, as the car in the background shows you. And then they went side by side through the last corner again. There was a little bit of elbows out, but you expect that because they're battling for second on the last lap. But there was no huge malicious big contact. But what it did do is push Stretch a little bit too far wide, and Camo just took the opportunity and got himself onto the podium. And if you remember Australia, Hippo, what happened to Camo in the last lap?
This season I don't.
Camo was in a 3rd place, and he spun it on the last lap in Australia, which gave Stretch the podium. So it's almost as if that injustice, because it was a kind of unfortunate mistake to make in Australia for Camo, he's then got it all back this week in China.
Yeah, he said Australia. I was thinking a different driver when he said mistake.
Oh, okay.
Not this season, no.
Oh, yeah. I know you.
You know,
I know
they
you're talking
know.
about. That's terrible of you. But yeah, Camo getting his podium. He was very happy with it, as anyone would be, with the way which he get it. The last corner overtake. I think it was 2/10 over the line he had over stretch. So very good stuff. But yeah, Quaker Oats ended up winning the race, was in the right place at the right time. I think it was a 12-second win that he had. But yeah, at least we have a different winner. It's not VRC Dan this time. Obviously he's in F2 now, so yeah, good.
He still nearly got a win.
Oh,
in qualifying, he nearly got onto that.
I think that opens it up for F3 now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
VRC Dan moving to F2. But great stuff. Second was RSF1 Falcon, obviously backed it up from his podium last time out in Vietnam. So again, his fan club, or his number one fan, RSF1 Vettel, and his number two fan, BF1 Racer, were very happy with that because they always cheer him on. Third place for Camo, as I said, he's got his podium at last. There'll be more, again, where that came from. Good evening, Source. Good evening, Science and Eastern watching. Thank you very much for watching. Fourth place was Stretch. I think Stretch will still be relatively happy with that. He's been in the points every race this season so far. A third, a fourth, a seventh, and a ninth. So he's doing all right. His Stretch. So still relatively happy. He's again one of those early kind of. I think he's top 5 solid at the moment in terms of the points. So doing very well. Fifth was Maniac. Maniac had no points going into China. He's now on 10 after this week, so...
Bulk by...
Yeah, so campaign is underway for him. Science, as I said, aggrieved with losing the win or the podium, but still ended up 6, so that's still okay. 7th for Quirky Turtle, another guy that had no points coming into this week and ended up getting... 6 is that? Yeah, 6 points. 8th was another one, Toxic CW, who again had no points going into this one. He's now on 4. 9th was... I did not see who's 9th. Oh, no, yeah, I do. Melzi in the Alfa Romeo. And the last point was picked up by Shane in the Renault. So, good stuff. I think the early leaders are Science, Stretch, and... probably Camo in there as well. I don't have the points obviously updated at this point, but by the time we get to F3 we will. Yeah, just good race in general, Hippo, wasn't it? Obviously made by the rain and the conditions, but I said earlier, apart from the moment with Eyes and Peachy Pig, I think in general the racing was good.
Yeah, I've been waiting for rain to hit RSF1. I've been wishing it a couple of times, but yeah, not. They've done well to keep it as clean as they have with such hard conditions.
Such difficult conditions. Again, it was so difficult to read because a lot of people prefer the fact that if it rains, like we know it's raining, like full wets rather than intermediates. But again, dry tyres on the wet track. For anyone that hasn't, it is. Yeah, I love it because it levels the playing field. Pace isn't really a thing. Yeah, it's just how you cope.
When you put
It's how you cope, isn't it? So
yeah, interchangeable.
Yeah, and Easton mentioned in the chat Cooper Benz. Difficult race for Cooper Benz. Didn't score in the points, and I think he got caught up in a few things. He's only had 2 second places, whereas Falcon, Science, and Stretch have been in the points and podiums as well. So Cooper Benz is still up there, I believe. I think it might be 5th or 6th. But he'll be back, Cooper Benz. I think he just had a difficult week in China. I'm sure he'll be back for the Dutch Grand Prix next week. Alright. F5. Oh boy.
How about we go to F1?
Gotta go in order. Gotta go in order. Oh, F5. Where do we begin? From the start? That's a good place to start, isn't it?
Yeah. Start from there.
Great race to watch. Again, I was in the com box again with Rogue. And I got to say as well, I don't know whether you've watched the race back, Hippo. Rogue as a commentator, he has settled in brilliantly, hasn't he?
Yeah, I was speaking to someone throughout the race, and they have obviously spoke to him before the race about something to do with their traction. And I listened out a lot to mentions in the stream. It's quite funny.
Yeah, it's great to see and obviously hear that Rogue and obviously yourself. I mean, you kind of had big shoes to kind of go into with F1. Obviously, you had a little bit of issues this week, but that's perfectly fine. But you slotted into F1 nicely with Blazer. And then also you got Syncside you in F4. With me being the role of head of comms, it's great to hear. Great to see that I've got a good team behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Onto the race, obviously. MV Tacticals with the pole position. Kept the pole off the start. Ahead of... Oh, who was in second? I can't remember who was in second. Kraken, was it?
Lincoln, who was very annoyed.
Lincoln, yes, Lincoln in second.
His favourite track.
Rogue was annoyed as well, because I think Rogue is a fan of Lincoln, or they know each other or something like that. I don't know what it is there.
Looking at Lincoln's TT throughout the week, I think just before our race, his TT was quicker than Easton's. So I was doubting... I was doubting it being very close, but I was proven wrong.
TT is not the be all and end all. That's the lesson learned. He did have a
very TT time, from what I spoke to him about.
But TTs don't give you race. TT is perfect conditions all the time. So
yeah, Easton didn't end up
you adapt.
Being quicker than yours.
I know, yeah. But yeah, Tacticals kept the pole off the start. Biggest point from the start I would like to point out is Locker. 20th to 10th by lap 3.
Yeah, it was lucky.
For Locker from the very back of the grid. Jesus. How did he pick his way through that field? It's ridiculous.
Luck. Definitely luck.
No, it's not luck. It's not.
Nah. Yeah, he's done well, similar to Australia. I think he just knows how to keep it clean.
I just wish he would turn up to qualify most of the times, because he turned up late, didn't he?
Yeah.
Obviously, there was reason to that, so I won't, sort of going forward.
Yeah. I was looking forward to the race with my alternate strategy, and then ruined turn 1 just by getting caught off.
I don't think Hippo, I don't think Source liked the race.
Neither do I. I think he's got a fair reason.
We're not here to... yeah, we're not here to talk about negatives or controversials in this, but yeah, great start from Locker. But, yes. Yeah, Locker had a great start. Similar to, what was it, F2, F3 pretty much. There's the soft tyre runners of Tacticals and Double. They quickly went into the first 2 positions, kind of pulled away from each other, and kind of had a nearly race-long battle between the pair of them, and it was quite intriguing to watch. But they were pulling ahead of the medium tyre runners. But the biggest kind of thing in their battle, which kind of was all piecing together, because on lap 8, Tacticals got a 3-second time penalty. So on the way the race was panning out, for that moment at least, Double could have stuck behind Tacticals throughout the rest of that race, because they were under limited pressure from, or little pressure from behind, because of the pace that they had. But that penalty did come into play in kind of what was going to happen later on.
Yeah, and there was one thing or one person who I believe had something to do with who was going to come out ahead of that battle, and they might be known as Raikkonen.
Yes. Are you pointing out the overtake that Double did in Raikkonen?
Not directly.
I know. Oh yeah, because obviously when they pitted, didn't they? Because Tacticals and Double pitted, and they came out behind, as you say, Raikkonen and Source as well. But I think Source got passed by Tacticals and then went into the pits.
It was a lot easier for one car to get past Raikkonen than the other, and that might have been.
To be fair, that you kind of expect that though, don't you? Because it's Principal Ferrari.
There's nothing wrong with
open the door. No. But to be fair, the way that Double got by Raikkonen, I have to say that is one of the most impressive overtakes I've ever seen.
He didn't make it easy though, as you expect. He tried to help.
You know he's not going to be easy. I said on the stream, this ain't going to be easy to get by because A, Raikkonen's helping his teammate, and B, I know what Raikkonen is like. Not to say that he's aggressive, he's strongly defends.
Yeah, he's not going to give anything up.
There's other people I know. Sainz does it, Craig does it, not Craigie Senna. BF1 Racer does it. It's not that they're a bad person, it's not that I disrespect their racing, it's just they are. There's probably other people on there as well. There's probably people you know, Hippo. Like, you know, probably
they know.
Well,
it normally ends up the other way.
But you know what I mean? You know what it is where you have to, like, be brave about it, go round the outside. Yes. Well, this is great. Those that haven't seen it, you have to. Go to lap 10 and watch this move, because it was Double... Yeah, because obviously it was Double behind Raikkonen at this point, going into turn 5, done the switchback, and then went white round the outside of turn 6, despite Raikkonen's best efforts. I know obviously Raikkonen's tyres were a little bit worn, and obviously Double's was fresher. Yeah, so on, but still, go sweeping round the outside, and then do the switchback as well. Brilliant stuff. And then, a few laps later, I don't know if you caught this, we had a similar thing or situation with McCracken on Raikkonen through turn 1.
I have.
You remember seeing this one?
I don't remember seeing it, no.
So, similar situation. At this point, Raikkonen hadn't pitted. He was basically going as long as he could on the hard tyres, and the leaders that had pitted were coming up to him. McCracken was losing time to the leaders in front, the Double and Tacticals. So he had to go for a very bold move around the outside of turn 1. Made it work because Raikkonen caught himself on the curb and spun, or half spun. Still, again, great move from McCracken. But then we get to the point where probably makes this race for all the right and wrong reasons. Lap 23, the safety car.
I still don't understand what it was called out for, to be honest. I didn't see it.
You haven't seen it? You haven't seen this? Oh my god. You have to. You have to. And anybody that's seen this will have to as well. So, at this point, lap 23, there's a few laps to go, and remember I said that Tacticals had the penalty from lap 8?
Yeah.
3-second time penalty. So, it's at this point where Double and Tacticals were battling all throughout this race, up to this point, and it became clear to me that Double, lap or so before this incident, was kind of holding station. Because he could, you know, because he didn't have a penalty himself. He knew, as I said in the stream, as the viewers saw in the stream, he could just stay put. They were under minimal pressure from Lincoln and McCracken, who were on fresher tyres, but they were 6 seconds back. So he could sort of like manage that. But it became clear, almost, he was getting kind of frustrated, because he was quicker than Tacticals, or it seemed like it was. especially in the middle section. And if he can get close enough in the straight, he'll go for a move. So it goes to the long right-hander, and obviously they're both on worn tyres at this point. Both are sliding around all over the place. I think they're like 19, 20 laps at this point. So they're both struggling, and it's almost as if Tactical's braked because he made a mistake. Double got caught out, hit the back of him, and spun into the wall. He then reversed back onto the track in front of Lincoln, and they both collided, and the safety car came out. And it was all of that happened within a minute of itself, or even less than that, and it's just, he's always hit Tacticals, always into the wall. Was broken front wing, by the way. Always reversed the track. It's Lincoln. Now,
deja vu for another racing point.
Yeah, I'm not going to lay into him that much, because I've done it before, and probably many people listening have done it before as well. It's heat the moment. He's not for a split second, and I think he's done that deliberately. Reversed onto the track right in front of Lincoln. It's heat the moment. You want to get back into the race. You're frustrated. The mistakes happen. He'll learn from it. Oh, I hope he does. I'm sure he will as well. Yeah, it's one of those things, Hippo, isn't it? The one thing I don't want him to do, or anybody else to do, is focus. Obviously, we're talking about it now, but that's it. He's got to move on from the incident, because he is a good driver, as he showed with the overtake on Raikkonen earlier in the race.
Yeah.
So
he'll bounce back.
It is one of those things. We'll learn from it, don't we? And make him a better driver.
Yeah. He's got something to work towards now. Go back and show his pace. He seems quick around Australia. Seems quick around China. And then I think he'll be quick next week. So he wants to prove himself. Yeah,
of course. Again, anybody that thinks I was a little bit too harsh there, obviously talking about it now, it's one of those things that happens, and we all move on from it. And as I said, I didn't think it was malicious in any shape or form. Heat of the moment, mistake. That's all it was. That safety car, what it did though, is completely level the playing field. Obviously, with 3 or 4 laps to go, most went on to soft. So I say most. Tedist and Raikkonen decided to stay out. Tacticals retained the lead. But because he had the penalty, and McCracken, who was in the net second at this point, ahead of... who was he ahead of? I can't remember who he was.
Lincoln still?
No, Lincoln had gone back because of that incident. Oh, it was Andy Yuzkin. So on the restart of the safety car, obviously it was key for Tactical's Hippo that he got the gap ahead, because he needed somehow to find 3 seconds or more over McCracken, basically, because Tedis was on 11 lap hards and under no threat. Raikkonen was on mediums and not worn mediums, but he had a penalty himself. So really, Tactical's biggest threat was McCracken, and it was all key to whether McCracken could find a way past Raikkonen, who he'd already got by, and Tedist. But if you remember, did you remember seeing this, the restart?
I saw it from a couple of angles.
Yeah. I have to say, McCracken deserved the victory in the end. Yes, safety car brought him in position, but as I said, he had to make the overtakes on Raikkonen and Tedis, and he did it. Both of them on the same lap, and very methodically, and yeah, made sure that Tacticals didn't get the gap in the end. Yeah, very well deserved, I think. The other person I do feel sorry for actually in that race here was Locker, because before the safety car he was 5th, I think at one point, and his penalties which he had, because he had 6 seconds, and the safety car dropped him out of it.
Yeah. That's the problem there. Or not the problem. That's what makes penalties so annoying. And especially around the track where it's so easy to get them. Yet some people obviously they're going to be playing a lot safer, avoid the penalties,
Yeah.
and then when something like that happens, they can capitalise.
It's one of those things a safety car can make or break somebody's race, can't it? Especially that late on.
Yeah.
It's what makes it so brilliant. Or, people hate it sometimes, but it makes it so brilliant. Yeah, I think in terms of racing, in terms of, entertainment for the viewers, probably the best race so far for F5. I know it had its controversial moments and its, bad moments, but as a general thing, as a viewer, not as a racer, Hippo, as a viewer,
Bahrain was the best.
Oh yeah, Bahrain was good.
Nothing to do with the results whatsoever.
Wait, hang on.
That
No,
wasn't my
you got
highest
fifth in that
result.
race. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. It's the best result so far. No, as a viewer, as an outsider viewer, I think that was the best race F5 has done. Probably good as a safety car, but so on. Had its moments in there. But McCracken in the Renault gets his first win of the season, and that now makes it 4 wins, 4 different drivers.
Yeah.
4 races, 4 different drivers. We had Teddist in Australia, Andy in Bahrain, Invade, who by the way still hasn't got a drive.
He does. He's now driving for AlphaTauri in replacement of Timmer, who is left.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. I'm sad to see Timmer has gone, but I'm sure he'll be back at some point. I think he needs a break from it. But I'm very, very sad to see Timmer go. As I said, sure he'll be back. I need to put my thing in there. Invader AlphaTauri. Invade is going to be an interesting one. Had a difficult race in China, but Invade is going to be one to watch in that AlphaTauri, isn't he? He's quite quick when he gets it right. When he gets it up.
His P2 in drivers for now. I think it's P2. I think I've worked it out. Maybe not actually. He's got a win and a third.
Yeah, winning a third. He got the win in Vietnam, didn't he? So.
Yeah. Podium at Bahrain.
Yeah, difficult race this week though, wasn't it, for him? So he'll be looking to come straight back in the Dutch Grand Prix next week. 4 different race winners. That pretty much sums up F5. It's incredibly open, isn't it?
Yeah.
Must be great to be a part of.
Well, if I can get myself up there, then I can make it 5.
if you can put China to one side and then continue the points, you should be all right.
China was not
Same with you, Source.
Right.
Same with you, Source. Same with
China and Australia did not happen, Source. There you go.
Here's the thing. Actually, I'd like to ask you, because China actually ended the streak of quite a few people that had scored points. There's one driver that has scored points in every race this season in F5. Do you know who that would be?
I think that's Tacticals.
No. Because he got no points in Bahrain.
Oh, it was Bahrain. I don't know.
Sure?
Not off the top of my head.
Lincoln. A 2nd, a 6th, a 4th, and a 5th. Yeah, Source is right.
He won't be happy with having that fewer points, but I'm happy he's scored and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, the only person that has yet to, have a
no
points or... Way to bring him down, jeez.
Well, Azerbaijan...
I mean, you were on the same record until China.
Yeah.
You're in the same situation. So there you go.
Lower points.
In terms of the teams, though, Renault look the ones to beat, even at this early stage. Andy and McCracken.
I think it's a 3-horse race so far. I think there are still people that can come out. But I think it's going to be the Racing Points, the Raris and the Renaults.
Yeah. So McCracken won the race. Tactical second place for him. Third was Andy Yuzkin. Didn't do much practice apparently. He got away with a podium. If only that worked for everybody.
Yeah, I only did the 50 laps in TT.
Wow, 50 laps, jeez. Fourth for Teddy Williams, had a difficult race in Vietnam, but he's back under the good point, so he's had a good start. Lincoln, 5th place. 6th for Daniel, picked up his first points in the Red Bull. He's had a very difficult start of the season, so it's good to see that he got some points there. 7th for Raikkonen. Yeah, gutsy 7th place for him in the Ferrari. 8th for Locker. Again, feel very sorry for him because he should have been a lot higher. So I'm going by race director. That's why. I know you finished 7th, but race director. I know you got a 20-second penalty that was unfair and so on and dropped it down. But yeah. 9th for Force Majeure in the AlphaTauri, and 10th was Reserve apparently, because again,
Wait,
not on my thing.
no.
10th.
Might have been
It was Reserve.
Invade.
Yes, it was Invade. Yes, he actually got a 10th out of that. Yeah, difficult race for him, but I'm sure he'll be back next week. But yeah, good stuff, F5. Good stuff. Just in general. I'm back commentating on it at some point. I'm sure it will be. Plans, etc. go differently, so should be good stuff. Right, F1 division that happened on the Wednesday, and you watched this one or at some point?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thing about F1 I'm looking at, especially looking at my results, is the battle between Middsey, Easton, Pigeon, Lando and Corey. Corey had a little bit of a difficult race this week, it seemed, but I think it was said in the stream by Blazer or by Shane, because we heard from Shane actually, who was
Special guest commentator.
Yeah. Also, thank you very much to Shane that stepped in, if he listens or watches at any point, because you had a few mic issues, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what happened. But it wasn't picking up on stream.
Because I called it what was going on, literally, what was it, as the race started. So I panicked. I was like, no, get in, help Blazer out, and then I realised, oh, Shane's already there. Okay. Kind of disappointed in a way, but there you go. Did a good job. All worked out. But yeah, this is. It almost seems to me, again at this early stage, but it seems to me in terms of like people that are going to be consistently up there that could potentially challenge for the championship. Obviously, the question going into this Hippo was whether Easton still has his pace, obviously from last season, that made him win the championship. Because it's difficult to retain a title. No one has ever done that in the RSF1. I know obviously we're in season 4, so not much chance, because we're still quite young, I guess. It's difficult to retain, but he still has it, but he has very stiff competition in the likes of Middsey, Lando, his former teammate, and Corey, Hippo. It's difficult to see where it's going to end up.
Yeah, it's very hard to
I wouldn't want to call it.
because when you win, normally you get moved up a division, but F1, it's a peak. So he's got his chance to do it, Easton. He's had a decent start to the season.
You can't call it who's going to win out of those.
Yeah.
I mean, there could be more that could come into it, but at the moment, because of the starts they've had, it seems to be those 4.
Yeah, it does. I think other drivers will be in there, however, consistently. I believe they will be the top 4 or 5. And then going off that, you think constructors maybe given to AlphaTauri, given recently
maybe
AlphaTauri
maybe I could
Oh yes.
Maybe I could.
Michael is definitely
Maybe I
going to
could.
win it. Easton, watch out.
I need a drive first. I'm like sick for a
No,
reserve at
it's
this
fine.
point, but hey
It's
ho.
fine. Easton's gonna give you a seat, lad.
I don't want to. Don't want to. Yeah, I need to get a drive first. Obviously, that'll be a good start, and then go from there. But yes, the thing is about this this race as well, Hippo, is everyone in the top 10 was on medium tyres. Everyone.
Yes.
Not a single person on softs.
Very different to F2.
And it wasn't raining. It's almost like everyone had decided, right, are we all going on medium tyres? Yes, we are.
It's not top 10.
Sure? Yes, everyone.
Use mediums or you're not going through.
Just everyone. Because normally there's like one or two that like, oh, I don't want to be in
Just
medium
wanna
2.
be
I want
top
to
10.
start the top 10.
Yeah.
And then you go on softs.
But in the race.
Probably what I do.
No, I wouldn't.
Probably what I do. I sneak into the top 10 on soft tyres, even though it's like the totally wrong thing to do.
And then start
Like,
10
I want to be top 10.
softs.
Yeah.
You just get swallowed up by those behind you.
But everyone was on mediums.
Yeah.
It's like, because I skipped over qualifying because I rewatched F1. I skipped over qualifying. I always do. It's not just F1. I always do. I was like, oh, mediums, and then I had to look at qualifying. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it is. No, it is. It's just like, but it was Midzi that got pole ahead of Easton, which kind of a surprise really, because Easton's normally the qualifying machine, isn't he?
I've got it
But
that
Midzi
Easton
managed to
got
grab it.
Are you looking at race results?
I'm looking at race results, aren't I? Yes. Spoilers, I guess.
Yep.
Sorry, Easton. Easton's saying no. Sorry. I got it wrong. Yeah, Easton getting pole ahead of Midzi. Close battle between the pair of them as well during qualifying, as well as Easton's teammate Pigeon Munch getting in there as well.
And Lando also fighting to try and edge out the other half tower up to the top 3.
Yeah. The race got underway, and actually Mr. Pigeon Munch actually got ahead of Midzi off the start in the early going, so it ended up being the two AlphaTauris, Easton.
1-2.
Yeah, Easton ahead of Pigeon, and then it was Midzi. Lando and the Williams is obviously with there, keeping tabs on the leaders. And up there as well was Stink Diggles in the Haas. Really coming into his own this race, actually.
Yeah.
I know it's actually a race result in the end. Didn't come out as well, because I think he just got caught up in a few unlucky incidents there during this race. But definitely shows, though, there's like... I say how it's going to be, you know, Midzi, Easton, Lando, Corey, but as with every tier in RSF1 and how competitive they are, you can go from track to track, and all of a sudden someone can, not necessarily surprise, but can mix it up a little bit. And it seemed to be Diggle's time in China, and he was with the leaders in the opening going. Away from the leaders, though, we had a titanic midfield battle between Mansell in the Mercedes, both Vettels, Unity Hush, and Adolf, who I believe was caught up in something early on. He was trying to recover. So the midfield was absolutely ridiculous. Great battles going between everyone there. You know, did you see that as well?
Yeah, it's very close action. What you kind of want to see, I suppose. You want to see their battles, especially as a spectator.
Obviously the top tier as well. So, and they were proving themselves they were the top tier. But once again, when the leaders pitted, obviously being the two AlphaTauris of Easton and Pigeon and the Red Bull of Midzi, when they pitted, they were behind this battle, and this was the key thing here, Hippo. Because like before in the tiers that we've mentioned, picking through those that haven't pitted compared to your rivals in the race is key to where you're going to finish. because at this point, Mizzy was still behind the two AlphaTauris, but he managed to get Pigeon, mostly due to the traffic, I think, Hippo, as well.
Yeah. It's not the longest pit lane around here, but people's pace seems to be very consistent overall. There seem not to be huge gaps to slot into normally. They normally slot into the middle of a DRS train.
Yeah, so I believe it was at the hairpin. I think Pigeon got caught behind, I can't remember who it was, at the hairpin. Actually managed to get a time penalty as well by being caught on the curb. So, which is unfortunate, but just the way it goes. It's just racing, isn't it? You just got caught up in the train of cars, and it's whether you capitalise from it. And Mizzy did manage to get into second place, and then it ended up being. Did you see the 2x2 formation of the AlphaTauris and the Red Bulls?
Yes, I think I remember that.
Great spectacle, I must say, and because they were going through the whole of the middle sector, so turns 6, 7, and 8. Yeah, funny enough, we're at China as well, which is Asian, I guess. It's not Japan.
Nah, not
I thought Japan was. Yeah, great stuff. Clean stuff as well, so was very good to see. But the other highlight I'm pointing out here, it's actually the last highlight towards the end of the race I had, is how Mizzy won this race with, I've labelled a lick and stamp send it on turn 5 on Easton. Did you see this?
I think he sent it.
He pretty much. No contact as well, don't believe. 3 or 4 car links back and managed to outbrake Easton into turn 5. It was a lick and stamp, it was a dive bomb, but it was a controlled dive bomb. Yeah.
Respect.
Great to see. Great to see, and it emphasises the fact that Easton has competition this time.
Last season he just walked away, no one could do anything.
No, he had competition. It just got to the end of the season. And that was it. Found a little bit more and ended up winning. But this, he's got it from all angles basically. He doesn't have his own teammate to back him up. Not that he needed backing up because he is a good driver himself. But I'm digging myself a hole here, aren't I?
Oh, you know what? Keep going.
Let's get myself out of it. But yeah, Mizzy won the race from Easton. Mizzy's second win this season. Again, like Muddy Biscuit, has yet to be off the podium. So, question will be, when is that going to stop, if it ever does? Easton is the same. In fact, Easton has been no lower than second. So, both of them pushing each other very hard, and again, it'll be difficult to see who's going to come out on top. But the result, for one person's mind, that being Shane, because of course he was in the comps box, that matters the most, is Karun, his driver at Renault, getting third place. The yell that Shane did, Jesus, I was like, my ears, they're gone.
First points.
Yeah, first points, first podium, great stuff for Karun, wasn't it?
Yeah. To be there with his team principal as well.
He done it for his team principal. That must be what it was. Fourth place for Lando. Obviously couldn't keep up with the front two, but still had a good solid result. Has been in the points all season so far. Fifth place for... Why do I not have fifth?
Is that another reserve?
Need to go to the race director screenshots. That's what my problem is.
F1, fifth. Boss.
Oh, Joe Pilkey. That's why. Joe Pilkey. Yeah, he had his great first race in the house. He's starting to find his feet, so that's good to see. Sixth place was Pigeon Bunch. dropped a little bit far back because I think he had a penalty, obviously, from that hairpin. So that dropped him down to 6th. Still good team. Still good points for the AlphaTauri. 7th was Days Rhombus. 8th for Corey Marshall. Again, Corey will be back, I think, with the others. And if I remember rightly, he did very, very well last season in Zandvoort. So he'll be looking to...
he had a qualifying ban as well. I believe it's why he started right at the back of the grid.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. So the fact he got 8th was actually pretty good.
And then,
to be honest,
the other Alfa Romeo ended up getting kicked out of their game, so they struggled against the rugby. With no goals at the back. But I think it got sorted during the race, thankfully.
Where am I at? 9th place for Sink Diggles again. Really unfortunate they dropped that far back, but I'm sure he'll be back again once again. And 10th place was Adam R picking up his first point in the season in the Mercedes. Difficult start to Mercedes in general, actually, Mansell and Adam, but they are definitely capable of coming back into the season and finding their feet. Yeah, hopefully you'll be back in the comms box once again, Hippo. I guess enjoying it so far.
Yeah, it's been good to watch.
And you'll get to see me on track. Maybe. Don't know when. Don't know when. I don't know whether I'll be able to speak to you in the comms box at the end of a race. You never know. Monaco, maybe.
I hope so.
Doubt it. Doubt it, did
so.
I hear? Wow. There you go. There goes my belief.
Easton's predicted he won't be on the podium in Zandvoort. Swiftly moving on.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Maybe Michael will instead.
Again, it depends if I drive.
Hopefully.
Depends if I drive. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm personally looking forward to it, but yeah, should be. I'm the only active reserve apparently. Oh, maybe I will get a drive. Yay! I mean, like a different car every week. It's like I'm in this one.
Rainbow.
I'm in this one.
It's the rainbow driver.
Rainbow car. Yeah.
She's a multiplayer car. You might as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Put on the rainbow helmet.
Race for no team.
I'm a mercenary. Yeah, no attachment. Right, we just need to quickly go over F4. That ended the week last night, and a pretty fun race from F4. Although had issues. I was doing something else on another game, and I had issues in that. And my thoughts immediately turned, obviously, to the race. Because a few Xbox Live issues were going on. Of course, we all know about that. But I got to say, the perseverance from everybody involved in that race to get a race done, because we never want to restart a race, and the fact we got one done is credit to everyone there, including the people on comms, Toxic and Syncside you in there. So
it as well.
Yeah.
Held on.
Apparently what it was, if you signed out, you were never going to sign back in again, or at least for the rest of the night. So, yeah.
All good.
We had a restart, and an early safety car, but we never found out what caused that, because we never saw, because the commentators got kicked from it. What did happen though, Cornish, XRL Cornish in the Racing Point, got an early drive-through for something, I believe a jump start, which hampered his race, but it did mean that his teammate Alco Saints, who going into this race into F4 was really looking strong for China, seems to be one of his favourites, and led the early stages. Cornish, after his drive-through, was 14th on lap 5, but that was the beginning of a very good comeback from XRL Cornish in this race. So, but yeah, not a good start from him. Good battles in the midfield. Mainly the recovering Cornish and Primus in the Mercedes. Primus had an early issue in the again the lap that we missed. Apparently got damaged and was attempting to go on hard tyres all the way to the end of the race. Other highlights include Craig Senna and Scotsman on lap 11, having a good battle throughout the middle sector of the lap. So, of course, Craig Senna having his first race in Red Bull full time. So good to see that he's got a full time drive now.
Yeah.
Good to see he's on the grid to begin with, actually. So good stuff.
Taken off as part of your old team.
Alka Saints had a lead of about several car lengths, actually. When he pitted, again, it was a similar story to the ones before, the races before. When the leaders pitted, obviously they were in traffic, but for Alco, it worked out perfectly because he had 2 free car lengths against his nearest rival, which in this case was Barry, to begin with. And he was, again, pushing forward quite nicely. Toxic MW had a late strat to medium tyres. He started well outside the top 10 and did a strategy similar to Lukey. But instead of going to softs, he went to mediums and started to gain massively in the last few laps. So again, he was putting his qualifying behind him, which was good to see. The Cornish comeback, I must say, was quite impressive to watch because he just, again, methodically picked his way through, decided no, I'm not going to let this drive-through get the better of me. And yeah, did very well. Cornish is one of those, Hippo, that I think he's been caught up in unlucky incidents in his first bit of the season. He will be one of the challengers, I think, towards the end. There are many in F4, which is, again, another open tier similar to F5, but he's definitely one of them, isn't he?
Yeah, I think those with pace will get the results. Although people, obviously, lots of people have been unlucky so far. And I just hope to do the best they can throughout the course of the entire season. So far, hasn't been the smoothest for everyone. So there's still lots to come.
I think the ones that will do well at the end of it are the ones that have been in F4 last season. Obviously, the ones like Primus and Button, and they've had good, strong starts. Manzi as well is putting some good results together. I think obviously Craig Senna is going to have a bit of a disadvantage starting full-time driving late on. Well, not late on, but he's had a few races, so obviously he's got to catch up a little bit. But I think once he gets into it, he'll be good. The thing is with this tier, Hippo, not a single driver has been in the points every race. Obviously, we pointed out other tiers like F5, F5 and F2 as well. But this tier doesn't have, this tier doesn't have that. So
in other words, none of them are good at every track.
It's more open, isn't it?
Yeah, it shows that it's more than just pace that it takes to win a season.
Yeah. My biggest takeaway from F4 is Primuses. Because obviously we talk about Cornish's. Obviously we talk about Cornish's comeback off of that drive-through, and that's a drive-through is a very difficult thing to put to one side. But Primus took Hards 25 laps in that race and ended up a second off a podium in 4th place.
Yeah.
That's mightily impressive.
I know that I wouldn't have had the balls to do it, and I know that if I did, it wouldn't have worked out at all. But to make it work that long and keep that close to the cars ahead, it's very impressive, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a good stuff from him, and he's another one of those Primus that I think is going to be challenging towards the end. Doing very well. But your race results at the end of F4, Your winner, Alco Saints, again, like Tier 5, that's 4 different winners from 4 races. So good stuff in F4. Second place was Toxic MW. I've had a difficult couple of races recently, but again did good after starting 14th on the grid. So a good result from him. Vinny picks up his first podium in the Red Bull. Good to see that he's got that, because I know he works very hard. And obviously my former team Red Bull. Primus in the Mercedes getting 4th place. 5th was Old Mancy, so great evening for Mercedes. 6th was XRL Cornish. Again, could have been very different with that drive-through. Could have completely wrecked his race. I mean, it did, but it could have been so much worse. 7th was Rogue, picking up his first result, or first points. Mason Duncan, his first full-time drive, got 8th. 9th was Craigie Senna, and 10th was RSF1 Scotsman, who had a difficult race but still managed to get a singular point away from the evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff from all the tiers really this week. As I said from the start, from the beginning of the show, very good week as a whole. Oh, we got to decide, Hippo. What was your favourite race of the week? What's our race of the week for this one?
I'm not going to include my own, because I feel like I was slightly biased. So I would probably say, I think the conditions in S3 made that very interesting and very fun to watch. I would say F3. What was your race of the week?
Mine's, I think F5 is very close. Very, very close. But you got to say, with F5, although the safety car made the race very entertaining as a viewer, it was unfortunate that it happened, and in some ways would have been very easily not happen, if that makes sense. Like, it was lucky that it happened. So again, I'm thinking I'm agreeing with you with this one. I think F3 is the race of the week. So we confirming that?
Yeah.
Okay, so F3 is China's race of the week, and that will be a segment we will have for the rest of them. Was going to look at our next race, Hippo, Zandvoort, but let's briefly talk about this. This is going to be all down to qualifying, isn't it? Qualifying is going to be key.
Yeah, overtaking is going to be the easiest thing to do here, so it's going to rely on some good one-lap pace, I think, for those that want to come out on top at Zandvoort.
Sorry, just putting out a message. Yeah, it's a very fine line in this. The race is going to be all about the least amount of mistakes as possible, isn't it? You got to be very consistent around this track and try and keep out of trouble.
Yeah, I think my two most important things going towards it are qualifying well and pulling off a good strategy. Because
I hope it doesn't rain.
Undercut or overcut, I wouldn't mind a bit of rain. But an undercut or overcut could cause a lot of times to win.
The last corner, the banked curb in the rain.
Okay, yeah. Let's keep it dry, please.
Even in the dry, I spun there in the dry last season. Caught the grass on the inside.
Just make it a hairpin.
I think this one is going to be similar to Vietnam, Hippo. I think the usual pace setters, I don't think are going to... They'll be there, but I don't think they're going to show as frequently as you think. I think we could have like different winners or different people doing well, different people at the front. Because if you like this track, similar to Vietnam, similar to Monaco in a way in a couple of weeks, If you like the track, you're going to do well. If you hate the track, you're going to do bad, which is it's the case most of the time, but other tracks you can kind of, get something from it, but there's not much changing. If you don't like Zandvoort, you're not going to like it for a while.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad track, but it will split opinion a lot.
Because it's still new, isn't it? That's the reason. It's still new.
Yeah.
Relatively. We've only had it for like less than a year, so yeah, it should be good. It's a spectacle to watch. I'll give it that. It's a very good spectacle to watch. Seeing the cars, especially in qualifying, seeing the cars winding through the track is very good. But it'll be entertaining. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very entertaining as a spectator and very stressful as a driver.
So you're not looking forward to racing it then?
It depends if everyone else crashes.
Yeah, good point.
If everyone else crashes, I won't mind it. If not, yeah.
I actually hope I get to race it, because I was on the front row last season, so I'm pretty good. Pretty good in qualifying. Didn't like the race. Forget about the race, because everything that could have gone wrong in the race did. So yeah. Good luck to everybody, and obviously hope you can join us for these races. Obviously it kicks off Sunday on F2, Primus Gaming and Sync Diggles taking us through in F2. F3, Craig Senna comes full time streaming. He's alongside Vettel SF71H. Monster Skyline and TSRC Rogue will be back on Tuesday to do F5. F1 is of course Blazer and yourself, Hippo, and Thursday is F4, finishing off the week with Toxic, CW, also known as Spooky, and Sync Saiju. And of course we got to recap it all this time next week. Yay!
Woo!
So thank you very much for your company, Hippo. I have a meeting to attend.
Woohoo!
So yay. So I need to quickly rush into there because I'm late, but it doesn't matter. Thank you very much, Hippo, once again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for watching, and whenever you watch it or watching it live, thank you very much, and we will see you next time. Take care as always. Make sure you join the streaming or the Twitch channel for the 12-hour gaming stream tomorrow. At any point, it will be on at some point. Pop in. Obviously, any donations would be great as well. But of course, minimal. Join us for the support. So, until tomorrow, see you then. Take care and good night.
Bye.